Hi, this is Llarold, and today I've got a guide for the re-released Mage Tower Challenge for Guardian Druid. The Monk video is the long-form video guide complete with all of the boss ability details, so check that out if you really want a fully in-depth look. You can also look at the written guides I made for Brewmaster, Monk, and Prot Warrior on Wowhead if you like reading. The main point of this video, just like it was with the Warrior and Monk videos, is to go over the basics, give some quick tips on what helped me break through and get the kill, and then show the kill in its entirety. Before I get into the notes on the talents and the gear and all that though, let me make a super important note here. Back in Legion, this was a tough challenge, and rightly so. It gave a really awesome, unique bear form model that stands on two legs, a werebear, if you will. And when the Mage Tower was brought back in Shadowlands, it brought back that super cool model that had been lost to time with a cool fell green reskin. It's an awesome skin, and that's all still in the game. But because of that, I guess, Blizzard chose to make it by far the hardest of the 6 tank challenges, to an overwhelming degree. People were upset by that, and I think rightly so, and now in the Dragonflight version, the opposite is exactly the case. Again, the reward's still the same. You get the cool fell green werebear. You also get a recolor of the Tomb of Sargeras tier set, which I like. So, 2 for the price of 1, but the difficulty has been massively reduced for Bear Druid in this challenge. It's gone from being the hardest one to the easiest one, and I think that's a good thing. The werebear model is awesome and unique, and Blizzard really should have put in more ways to unlock it and things that look like it prior to the return of the Mage Tower, rather than just leaving it lost to anyone who didn't play during the brief window of year of mid-Legion to the end of Legion. The Mage Tower reskin of it is very cool. I actually like it more than the original, and making that more attainable for more people is a good thing. So just to give a numerical context for how much easier this challenge is on Druid now, for some reason the enemies you fight in this challenge have different health values for each class. It's not based on your gear or your item level. It's a time walking challenge. So all of your gear is scaled down to item level 120. I've done this on a pally at 340 item level and 390 item level. I did all the same amounts of damage, roughly, and all the enemies had the same amounts of health. For Warriors, Inquisitor Varus has 269,000 health, for Monks he has 156,000 health, and for Bears, he has 88 or 89,000 health. At the time this challenge was first made, Bears leaned very heavily on Thrash as a major source of their damage, so Inquisitor Varus was made, for Bears only, to have an extra huge ring around him, so that you wouldn't be able to melee him from outside it, even if you were spec'd into Astral Influence now, Balance Affinity at the time. Those 3 extra yards or 5 extra yards of melee range, depending on, what point in the game, you're still too far away to melee him. But that's not what makes Bear Druid strong anymore. Bear Druids get a massive amount of their damage from Moonfire now, and you can freely spam them up with spell damage the entire phase. It's a 16-yard AoE circle. That's way less than the 43-yard maximum range on Moonfire. Combined with how incredibly tiny his health pool is, this makes for an extremely short phase 1. Also, the proliferation of Tooth and Claw becoming a really strong talent that increases your single target damage a lot, that has also helped really make quick work of Inquisitor Varus. Because of phase 1 being incredibly short, you don't have as many Infernals active for phase 2, which means that phase 2 is also substantially easier than it is on any other tank. So now let's just get into it. Phase 1, mechanic-wise, I open by using all of my cooldowns and slamming Varus as hard as I possibly can, and whenever any ads spawn, I try to hit them with quick Moonfire. The eyes are immune to physical damage, so I just Moonfire them and just let them die from that. For everything else, I try to get into range of it when I can and hit it with Thrash. You absolutely want to AoE down the Nether Horrors as quickly as you can in this challenge. They will cast Nether Storm periodically. Nether Storm is a channeled skill that deals massive AoE damage to you and your NPC companions, so you really just want to kill those little guys before they can cast it at all. If they do start to cast it, they do a cast, and then once it finishes, they will sit still and channel it. You can interrupt their cast with Incapacitating Roar or one of Velen's orbs, and that will prevent the cast from going off and make them go on cooldown. That's all fine. I mean, ideally, you want to burn these guys as quickly as you can. Either kill them before they start to cast it, or interrupt them before they actually start channeling and dealing damage. Whenever they're not up, you should just be trying to slam Varus as much as you can, hit him as hard as you can. Moonfire the eyes to kill him, dodge the slams from Infernals, and try to get into phase 2 as quickly as you can. Once you get into phase 2, there's really only a handful of mechanics that you have to focus on with Kruul. Interrupting his Twisted Reflection is very important. The most important thing, really. It causes him to heal every time he attacks you. This is bad. Picking up one of Velen's orbs will dispel that debuff off of you. I checked, I let him get a cast on me in one of the runs and then ran through an orb, and it did clear that debuff, but he still got some healing while I was trying to get over there. It's not a guaranteed wipe, but it's obviously still quite bad. Kruul's flame pools on the ground can be pretty dangerous on a druid. You don't have great tools for running out of a circle on the ground, which is part of why I like Feline Swiftness in the talent tree, which I'll go over in a second. You can use Stampeding Roar to get out of those circles as well. You could also theoretically use Dash. I probably wouldn't, though. I really don't want to shift out of bear form while I'm tanking. I think that's pretty risky. Also be ready to use Wild Charge or Goblin Glider if you get knocked back by an Infernal. That can absolutely be the difference between, finishing this challenge with a kill or wiping when it looked like you had it all locked up. Kruul's main tank buster, Annihilate, is pretty dangerous. Once you get to 2 stacks, you'll want to have defensive cooldowns available for each Annihilate cast in order to survive it. Now for the first 2 casts, I think you can get away with just using Iron Fur. That's what I did. Just be sure to Frenzied Regen right as the cast hits you. It does have a cast time, so it's pretty well telegraphed, but making sure that you're at full health when you get hit and you have Frenzied Regen rolling so you don't get killed by the next auto attack is really important. I recommend using Bark Skin to mitigate the 3rd cast. That is what I did in this case. If it's not available, at least make sure you're at full health and have a couple of stacks of Iron Fur up. Having Incarnation or Rage of the Sleeper up would work too. For the 4th and hopefully final cast of Annihilation, you want to make sure that you have Survival Instincts if it's available. If you're using any sort of defensive trinket like Decoration of Flame, that would be a great spot to use that as well. As a general rule throughout Phase 2, you can use Velen's orbs to delay Annihilate casts by a few seconds and give yourself 100% health, which is, really important right before you're going to take a huge tank-busting hit. Just in general throughout this entire encounter, I prefer to gather adds up close if I can before hitting an orb. It's really nice to be able to CC everything, but have everything CC'd and close stacked up so that you can thrash it and swipe it and Moonfire will be cleaving rather than CCing when everything's 40 yards away from each other. But ultimately, if it's a choice of letting a Drain Life cast go off or letting myself get killed by an Annihilate, I'm gonna hit that orb to prevent those from happening regardless of where all the adds are. Okay, now let's talk about talents. This is the talent setup I ran. It's a very normal Mythic Plus or AoE raid talent setup in the right-hand tree. Very standard stuff. It's just built on, running Moonfire, doing as much damage as you can with Moonfire, proccing Moonfire for free, and getting a lot of rage generation from that. Using that to fuel just hitting Iron Fur and all of your normal stuff. Also taking Tooth and Claw so you get a little bit of focus damage and a nice damage reduction effect on both Inquisitor Varus and High Lord Kruul. I broke from the conventional approach in the left-hand tree and went over and picked up Feline Swiftness, and the main reason for that was, you don't need Innervate for this challenge, there's no one to cast it on. You don't really need Ursol's Vortex or Nature's Vigil either. You don't have to take Heart of the Wild. I think I actually ran Verdant Heart instead, but taking Heart of the Wild will make you do even more damage in Phase 1, and I think that's a better choice than what I actually ran. You could take some balanced talents like Star Surge and boost your Phase 1 spell damage even higher, but I think that's really not necessary. I found that I was absolutely slamming in this fight, just staying in bear form and moonfiring Inquisitor Varus from range. Phase 1 is just so fast now compared to how it was in previous versions of this challenge. Having Wild Charge and Feline Swiftness and improved Stampeding Roar are all super important for getting around in this challenge. I think they really helped a lot with dodging all of the knockbacks. Alright, now let's move on to gear, and I didn't do anything fancy here. I ran my normal Mythic Plus gear, and for trinkets I just used a Decoration of Flame and a Whispering Incarnate icon, neither of which is a particularly good trinket for this challenge. I think the best possible trinkets you could run are Chipped Soul Prism from Warlords of Draenor and Unstable Arcano Crystal from Legion. They give way more stat budget than they should for their item level. They're basically equivalent to wearing multiple pieces of gear each, so I would recommend one or both of those if you're struggling on this challenge at all. They will significantly lower the difficulty of this challenge, but trust me, you can do this without either of them. And finally, Potion of Unbridled Fury, the relatively inexpensive Battle for Azeroth era potion, still deals damage that's way above its budget, so you can try those if you want a little more single target damage as well. Alright, that's it. I'm gonna play the kill in its entirety now. Ask questions if you have any, like and subscribe. You know the drill. And good luck with the Mage Tower. Thanks for watching. Bye.
So fast. Paris, dispose of this rat. With pleasure, my Stand strong, champion. Do not give up.